afternoon, everybody. The Eagles are 4-0. Welcome to the Pond Lehocky Eagles post-game show. I'm Mike Vicinelli with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. And Devin Caney will join us a little bit later. So through the rain and the wind and the muck and the overall nastiness, they survive and they overcome the Jacksonville Jaguars at home, 29-21. And they got 5 turnovers. I mean, let's face it, in this kind of a game with the weather the way it is, Trevor Lawrence not very secure with the football. They get the 5 turnovers. They run the ball, which is what they should have done in the weather like this. They ran it straight ahead. Miles Sanders, 27 for 134. 4-0 for the first time since 2004, and that was the year, of course, number 5 will always love you. Right, 2004, they went to the Super Bowl that year. It got a little hairy at the end, but Trevor Lawrence gave them the 5th turnover, which secured the victory. Guys, this is the way it really should have played out in this kind of weather. It didn't look like they were going to do it early, but finally they got their bearings on running the football the way they should have.
Well, we jokingly said once things were going bad for them early on, all they had to do was get to the second quarter because that's where they seemed to do their most damage. You know, both of these teams came into this game turning the ball over one time. But when you look at the sloppy conditions today, you knew the elements were going to play a significant factor in the outcome of this game. Early on, it played in favor of Jacksonville with a ricochet interception that was returned for a touchdown. But lo and behold, you know, the football gods turned in favor of the Eagles and gave them 5 turnovers today. And, man, they needed it today. But you got to learn how to win in every kind of condition. And we've watched this team put together 4 different types of win this season.
You know, this thing could have went a myriad of different ways. But it's funny because, you know, while we're watching the game, I'm watching this thing unfold. You get the tip interception, pick 6. Then they turn around, they drive down, they punch it in, it's 14-0. And I tweet right then and there and say, hey, listen, the Eagles for the first time this season are facing adversity. Let's see how they respond. If you're Eagles fans, you got to be excited about what you saw today because this team was in the hole 2 touchdowns and clawed their way out and scratched out a win in the game under really adverse conditions. I mean, there was opportunities for the offense to just lay down. Hurts, you know, didn't throw the ball particularly well today, but when he needed to make plays, he made plays. Miles Sanders got a workload like we haven't seen Miles Sanders get in a long time. And, Derek, I said in pregame, I said he may have to run the ball 25 times for them to be successful today. He ran the ball, 27 times? Yep. Let me get the numbers here.
27 for $134 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty darn big, you know, when you don't put that kind of workload, you know, on your running back. But, I mean, listen, if you're an Eagles fan, you got to be thrilled with where this team is. They're undefeated right now.
Seth, I tell you, this was a classic example of the Eagles' offensive line being superior to a pretty good Jacksonville defensive front. The Jags are pretty good against the run. They're number 1 in DVOA, if you follow those kind of analytics coming into the game. And they lost 2 guys, and they had to put Driscoll in there, they put Opeta in there, and they still survived it.
Well, it was never a situation where you had to put Driscoll or Opeta in a situation where they had to kick, 40 times in order for you to get back in the game. They were down early, which lent to them being able to run the football, continue to run the football, stick to their game plan, which I'm sure that game plan adjusted just this morning. I mean, when you get to the stadium and you realize that the weather's going to be the way that it is, listen, you're not going to come out and have Jalen Hurts throw the ball 30, 35 times today. So because they got behind early, that gave them the ability to just continue to run the ball and stick to the game plan and only have Jalen throw the ball when they need to have him throw.
4 of their turnovers lead to 30 points, by the way. So every time that the Jacksonville Jags turned it over, the Eagles answered with a score, 3 touchdowns. They got the field goal there. They scored 20 straight points off of turnovers in a span there. And, Derek, you brought up the second quarter. You ready for this? They're 85-14 in the second quarters this year against their opponent, 44-0 in the last 2. So something's kicking in the second quarter for this team. What's that all about?
You know what? They have to make adjustments. They're adjusting to what a defense is throwing at them. They go over to the sideline, they talk about it, they adjust their game plan. And once they adjust their game plan, a defense is unable to counter with it because of all the weapons this team has in the passing game and the running game. This particular game, they started out trying to run to the outside against this Jacksonville defense, and Seth and I are screaming, you can't run to the outside against this defense. They're too fast. Run straight at that defense. Once they start making that adjustment, they were starting to hit them right up the middle. That's when they started gaining chunks of real estate. Give Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni credit once again, making adjustments on the fly that turned out to be so beneficial to the success of this team today.
Trevor Lawrence, let's talk about him because I like him. I think he's going to be a really good player in this league. But today I think proves not ready for adverse conditions, not ready for prime time. Got a little skittish there, lost 2 snaps, got strip sacked twice, got baited into an interception by Bradbury on pressure from Gannon on that play.
Well, I will continue to contend. I will die on 2 hills. One of them is, even in today's world of the quarterback-driven NFL, you still need a running game. Most quarterbacks in the league still need a running game in order for them to be successful. The other hill I will die on is the hill of pressure. Pressure changes everything. Pressure makes pipes burst. Pressure makes quarterbacks make hasty, dumb decisions. They make them make mistakes. And when you sit back and you let a quarterback in this league, at this level, just feel comfortable in the pocket, go through his reads, and have options of where to throw the ball, you're asking for trouble. Now, the Eagles got to Trevor Lawrence, and they made him uncomfortable. They even, at times, made it look like they were coming, and just the illusion of pressure made him nervous. The Eagles only blitzed 3 times today, just 3. I mean, in my estimation, that's not enough because, listen, you allowed Trevor Lawrence in the second half to get comfortable and pull within, shouting range of tying this game up and send it to overtime. Why? Why not just decimate his confidence from the beginning? Why not just do it the entire game? Why not leave any shadow of a doubt that you have no chance? The Eagles are going to get themselves in trouble because they're going to do this with a quarterback down the road, and it's going to come back to bite them in the behind. I'm telling you right now.
Well, we'll see if that happens. Now, I thought it was really good. But first of all, welcome back to Doug Peterson. He got a nice ovation. They put him on the board, got a really nice ovation. I thought that would happen. He's won a Super Bowl here. I think Eagle fans really respect that. But I think he tipped his hand with Trevor Lawrence. There was that one series, they were 3rd and 10, and he ran the football to just give it up, to punt, not trusting his quarterback in that kind of situation. I think Doug realizes he's not a finished product yet.
Well, he's not a finished product, but, as a coach, I think coaches need to do a much better job of taking the temperature of what's going on around their team and what's going on in the moment. I always talk about the analytics drive so much in professional sports now that it's ridiculous. The analytics have always been created to be a tool used by the coaches when they're making decisions. It's not a tool that should drive the decisions of coaches.
I hate analytics.
And well, listen, it's a part of the game. And people think that analytics is something that just came out of nowhere. Listen, it was analytics when I played. Because we didn't have computers and computer printouts back then, you created your own analytics. Guess why? By how? By watching film and charting teams over a 4-game span. Those are analytics, okay? The probabilities of analytics is what's making the decision.